Welcome to the I Hate Critics movie review podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
I am unprofessional film critic, Jeff.
And of course, we're always talking about brand new movies each and every week. Jeff, of course, you're an artist. Tell people where they can get your art.
JeffLassiter.com is my website. That has links to my Etsy. I'm doing a bunch of shows this next month and a half. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the Quad Cities, Iowa City, and yeah. So you can get them in person if you want to come and see me.
All right. And of course, my stuff is going up on our Facebook. We're touching the Facebook page up a little bit, sort of, kind of, doing what we can with it. So you can find some stuff there. And of course, I Hate Critics on every possible social media we can get on, including TikTok, where you've not been criticized at all once, not one time, Jeff. Whereas Amy continuously ticks off the TikTok people. People want to talk about her attitude constantly.
No, I have a wonderful attitude and I never say anything wrong. Yeah, but Amy constantly puts her foot in her mouth and other people's mouths apparently too. I'm just kidding. I love Amy, even though I haven't seen Amy in literally.
This is why Amy's probably our best host, honestly. Better than me, better than you. People want to talk about her.
This is true. She's talk worthy. I'm not. Neither are you.
Let's talk about movies, shall we?
Oh, is that what we're here for?
I think maybe. I mean, we're going to talk about Donald Trump for probably about a half an hour later on. So,
oh God, please let's not. I could talk about fat JD Vance memes all night, but some of
the only thing I want to hear about JD Vance is what he did to the Pope. That's all I want to know. What'd you do, JD?
I shared a video of him, of fat JD. I don't know who did that AI thing, but it is the only possible use for AI that I support.
Mm-hmm.
Dressed as Pinhead from Hellraiser, circling the Pope with the Hellraiser theme playing behind him. I almost wet my pants, literally, at work when I watched that.
There was a really great meme going around, like Hegseth is like, I killed the Pentagon, and Trump's like, well, I killed the economy, and JD Vance is like, hold my beer.
I just shared one with this guy I used to mess around with, date, whatever you call it in the straight world. And he and I send JD Vance memes back and forth all the time. But there was one, I don't know, Trump did an interview with somebody, and he was showing a painting that had to be put behind a curtain because it was so fragile and whatever. And this was a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he opens the curtain and it's a meme of rainbows and fat JD Vance.
Oh,
I loved it so much.
Well, movies. Let's talk about movies. We'll get the one I saw out of the way first, which was not the biggest movie of the weekend because shockingly, did you see the box office numbers?
No, I did not. It was a really busy weekend.
Well, first of all, Sinners set a record for only having a 2% drop week to week in the box office, which is almost unheard of.
Well, Sinners is the only one I'm seeing on social media, anybody talking about besides Revenge of the Sith. But I literally spent 2 hours talking about Sinners last night.
Sinners set that record, but the thing to talk about is a 20-year-old movie that finishes second at the box office and takes in $25 million, topping the big new release of the weekend.
As it should.
Yeah, the Revenge of the Sith we'll get to top The Accountant too, which I think a lot of people weren't expecting. But on top of that, though, The Accountant 2 didn't bomb. It did 24 million. So, I mean, is the box office back, I guess is the question.
I mean, if you re-release a Star Wars movie, people are going to fucking go.
Seemingly.
I saw it twice this weekend because I'm such a Star Wars fan.
The fact that this movie made 25 million and did not leave Disney Plus, it's like that says something amazing about this.
Mm-hmm.
This is history that people really aren't talking about.
Well, there's something about a Star Wars in a theater that is you just can't like I now I saw it yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday, and I'm like, I'm gonna go see Revenge of the Sith again because I need some serotonin, right? So I went again, and I as I was thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I probably should have gone to see Until Dawn so that I could see the accountant because I could have only seen one today, and I was texting back and forth with my sister. I was the only person in the theater except for two people way in front of me during Revenge of
Mhm.
the Sith, and I was texting my sister, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in the movie." She goes, "What are you seeing?" I said, "Revenge of the Sith." She goes, "We have Revenge of the Sith at home," and I was like, "I know, but you just don't understand. There's something about Order 66." So I think people really love to go. Um, they just love Star Wars in the theaters. There's nothing like a movie like that.
Mhm.
And even the Avengers movies, which they don't re-release, which I don't understand unless there's one coming up.
Mhm.
Um, those kind of movies, there's just such a hunger for blockbusters, and we haven't had a lot of blockbusters this year. I mean, I know it's not summer yet, but
Mhm.
there's just those are the kind of movies that still get people out of their houses.
I do wonder sometimes if a model for maybe a modern movie theater might be, 12 new release. You got an 18 screen theater. You've got 14 of those screens, running new movies. Maybe two that are running like foreign films because we've got at least where we are. There's a huge foreign film audience. They're always showing at least two Indian movies every week because there's an audience for it. They're making money doing it. And then you maybe throw one or two screens at just a revival.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, if you put something out there like 3 Days of the Condor and you give it a little bit of a social media push, or you take a movie that people remember even better than that one, like say the first Fast and the Furious ahead of the Fast and the Furious coming out.
Yeah.
I'm betting it could do numbers. I'm betting it could do
Well,
numbers like what this did.
whenever over the last year, I've seen several um Fathom events, and they do it quite a bit. I saw Friday the 13th Part 4
Mhm.
um in the theater, and it was packed. Black Christmas for the 50th anniversary was packed both times I saw it. Um, there is an audience for that kind of stuff. And, we have the Last Picture House, and
Mhm.
I'm just so surprised that they don't do that on a regular basis. I know they only have two screens and they have to,
Right.
do but, like one night a week, hey, on the smaller screen, on screen two, here's, it's the 20th anniversary of the Revenge of the Sith coming out. Let's do that. Let's show that. Or,
Mhm.
um, there is one theater I read about. I don't remember where it was. I'm sorry, but they wrote they screened the original Star Wars before it was A New Hope with none of the added effects or even the subtitle or anything.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I would even if it was if somebody had converted it to a really nice Blu-ray or something. I'm sure that's probably how they did it, unless they had a really old print. I can't imagine a really old print.
No, no,
Um,
probably not.
I like that.
But I, I,
Uh,
I bet that yeah, you're on to something here because I mean this is something like I would love to see Blade Runner on the big screen. I've never
mhm.
seen Blade Runner on the big screen. Obviously I've got the full DVD set and whatnot, but like that's a movie I would go out to the theaters to see no matter how many copies of it I own.
Yeah.
Or even the original Planet of the Apes. Put that back up on the big
Mhm.
screen. Like stuff like that. I bet you could pull for Rocky or even Rambo for that matter. The First
Well,
Blood.
remember, they did a whole week during Valentine's Day of like Love Hurts is what they called it. And I
Yeah.
went to see My Bloody Valentine. We recorded on Monday that week so I could go see that. Otherwise, we would have probably gone to see Midsommar
Yeah.
because they were showing that again. It's like these movies are packed. If you could do that, and I don't know if it's a rights issue or if it's
That's
what,
the
but
thing. That's the tricky part. Like, because I know there's probably a lot of places that would love to show a movie, but then if somebody finds out we're showing the movie, then we can get in trouble or whatever. But like, uh, I don't know how studios handle that. I don't know how studios handle rights issues like that. If anybody has any clarity on that, let us know. But yeah, the studios definitely get in the way of some of that.
Mhm.
Um, How much I don't know because like you said, our local small theater is doing some stuff for their rooftop series where they're putting things up on their big screen on the roof. Um, and I guess they're able to do that, but how they must have worked out a deal or something.
Yeah.
You would think. I saw Purple Rain on an outdoor show at our local small theater here, and it was awesome. It was what an amazingly cool experience that was,
Well, they're
and it was
showing the
packed.
original Star Wars this weekend, and if I can, if I could work it with my schedule, but I work so early in the morning that it's really hard to go see a late night movie, and
Mhm.
the movies get later and later as the summer goes on because of the sunset. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I love.
Now, for those of you listening, just if you want to check in on the Facebook page, give us your picks for movies that you would old movies that you would go to see in the theater.
Yeah, yeah,
Just come up
definitely.
with however many you can think of. Like I would love again and it's obvious. I think Wizard of Oz has been released a few times, but
Hmm.
I'd see that again. Like that's become one of my all time favorite films. I would love to see The Sound of Music again. I got to see The Sound of Music sing along at the Adler Theater in Davenport, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Like when I lived in New York, they would do, there were lots of revivals, and there was a one theater that would do a lot. I saw Gone with the Wind on the big screen.
Hmm.
And it was a print. It wasn't a Blu-ray like a
Oh
lot of the
wow.
stuff. So there was some, loss and everything in it, but it was still interesting to see, how it was projected. I think it was 70 millimeter or something. Um, but it was interesting to see the difference between when you can watch it on streaming, and I know it's problematic. Trust me, I'm right there. But it was interesting to see the image reduction that they do. I
Hmm.
also saw Tourist Trap, which we talked about last year, which is one of my favorite grade B horror movies.
Hmm.
I saw a print of that at the Music Box Theater in Chicago, and the Music Box is one of those theaters that does that kind of stuff quite a bit. Um, when when you're when you're watching a 35 millimeter print of a movie that came out in 1979, you are getting a shitty copy of it. But it was so much fun and so cool to see it so big in an old classic theater.
Hmm.
So,
Now, yeah, a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to be covering the 40th anniversary of Reanimator. They're putting out a big
mhm.
Blu-ray package, a big
Oh, I can't
UHD
wait.
package of that. And wouldn't that be amazing if they put that out for a weekend
Mhm.
in the theaters, like a
Yeah.
full theatrical run for a weekend of Reanimator? I bet that would do money.
I 100% agree with you. Like I said, every horror movie that I've been to in the last year that was a revival has been packed. So,
And what an untapped market there would be doing something like that, and then immediately after you walk out the theater, you have the opportunity to buy the Blu-ray or the
mhm.
DVD just right
Yeah,
outside the theater.
yeah.
Or a digital download. You scan your phone, and you can take home the movie with you,
Hmm.
however you want to do it.
Well,
These people like the David Zaslavs of the world are leaving so much money on the table because with their narrow fucking thinking. People want to be in the same place at the same time. People want to be in groups. We want to gather. We want to be together. We want to have a communal experience. Plain and simple.
mhm. This is the 40th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and the apparently they are doing a director's cut with not very much put back in, but they're cleaning it up and everything for you HD. I'm really hoping for a theatrical on that one. Um, that movie is I saw that's the first movie I saw alone in the theater because there was one ticket left. My dad and a couple friends and I went to see it for my birthday, but they only had one ticket left, and all my friends were like, "We'll go to something else. We know you want to see this." So I got to watch that movie in the theater by myself. So yeah, it's it's stuff like that, like the big franchises, horror franchises do great. Some of the really niche indie movies do great. Um, that's what I like to see because there's so many movies that I have not ever seen in the theater.
Hmm.
Um, I saw the original Friday the 13th with my ex-boyfriend in St. Charles, Illinois. We drove from the city to St. Charles because they had a 35 millimeter print
Oh wow,
that they
that's so
showed.
cool.
And this was
Yeah,
like 15, almost 20 years ago. Um, and it was just, there was just something about it. It wasn't the cleaned up, brighter version that's on Blu-ray or anything. It was, kind of a dirty, down and dirty kind of thing. So that's the kind of
cigarette
stuff I
burns
absolutely
and
love.
a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit of browning
exactly.
here and there.
Right. And I just felt like I was back in 1980 seeing it for the first time.
See, that's
So,
the thing. When I was thinking about Revenge of the Sith before, like that opening music, when you hear John Williams, I
mhm.
know this is going to sound kind of weird or crazy or something, but it feels like a time machine to me. I feel like a child when I hear that score. I am 4 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, however I was when I finally got Star Wars, and I just closed my eyes for just a second. It is a time machine.
Yeah. I caught myself as I was rushing to the theater for Until Dawn today. The Revenge of the Sith was starting in the big theater as I was walking by, and I heard that. And I'm like, oh, I want to run in there really quick. I did, like, after Until Dawn, I stopped in for just a minute just to see where they were at with it. But I could tell from the music because I watched it so many times.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's fighting General Grievous.
Ah.
So yeah, more re-releases, more boutique releases. There are movies that I'd love to see the movie 9 to 5 in a crowd.
Hmm. Seems
Stuff
like a
like
good
that.
choice. Yeah. That'd be a good
Crowd pleasing
choice.
movies.
And there's plenty of them out there. I
Yeah.
mean, movies are getting captured on TikTok every day. Like there are kids who are seeing something for the first time
Mhm.
and then talking about it online. And if you can grab that wave, make the money, put it back out in
Yeah.
theaters, get people talking again.
I like a Fathom event of Drop Dead Gorgeous. I never got to see that in the theater. I would 100% go see that if they did something like that. And based on my sticker sales on my Etsy shop, that is a very popular movie. All of my orders that I got today were for Drop Dead Gorgeous stickers.
Oh wow,
So,
crazy, huh?
and that movie's 30 years old
Yeah, that's
almost.
wild. It's getting there. It's getting there. I mean, another one. They might be doing this theatrically. I don't know, but the 20th anniversary of Brokeback Mountain is coming up, and I believe they're going to put
Yeah.
that one back out, possibly. And
I,
I think it'll do well.
yeah. Did you see that when it was in the theater?
I did. I
Okay.
reviewed it. Yeah, back in the
Yeah,
day.
I went to a sneak preview,
Oh yeah.
and it was just like it was downtown at the AMC in Chicago, and there was not a like single seat available. We were like the fourth or fifth person in line, my friend and I, and we got prime seats, but there was not a single seat available for that movie.
Mm. Yeah, I was one of the last people to leave the theater because I was just kind of sat. I was just kind of stunned in my seat. Like the last scene of that movie is just one of the
Yeah.
saddest things I've ever seen in my life.
Hmm.
Yeah, that one kind of knocked me on my ass pretty good.
Yeah, still does.
The Accountant's fine. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. Action movie, whatever. Um, go see it if you like Ben Affleck or whatever. He's an accountant with autism and stuff. All right. My review's on the Facebook page. Go ahead and read that. We're having a much more fun conversation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could think of stuff all day about movies that should come back to theaters, but I guess we should talk about the new movies. So we'll talk about the one that we both saw, which is Until Dawn. This is directed by David F. Sandberg, who's got a lot of credits. I'm not sure about a lot of great credits, but he's got a lot of credits on recent stuff. He did Lights Out, Annabelle Creation, both the Shazam movies, which doesn't speak well of him, but nevertheless, he's fine. He's a fine director, and this is fine. Clover is the lead character here. She's with her friends. They're taking her on a road trip to try and get her help her get past the death of her sister, which happened about a year earlier. They end up lost at the same place where she disappeared, and it turns out to be this haunted town that fell into a hole because of a mining accident. There are zombies. There's various different things, but the key thing is they're dying every night and coming back to life.
Mhm.
That's the premise. I don't know. It's fine. I didn't hate this. I was happy with these characters. I didn't want to see any of these characters die, and
Yeah.
that's kind of a. I know it's a low bar, but I remember the early 2000s. I remember the cast of those Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes where I wanted all of those fuckers to die
Yep.
because they were just obnoxious shits the entire way. It's nice to be back to a place where they're working on making sure that you like the characters so that there's something at stake if they die.
Yeah, I think what helps it is they're all attractive, but none of them are like too attractive.
Mm-hmm.
They all seem like they could actually be real people. Not that attractive people aren't real people. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
speaking
right.
from
No,
experience.
but these aren't like five supermodels we're talking about. They're very attractive
Yeah,
people, but they're also they're diverse and unique looking. And there's like one really super handsome guy,
yeah.
the tall guy.
I guess
I thought he was really handsome. But one thing though about these characters feeling real is that there's one scene in this movie that's just been it's like a needle in my brain. There's a scene where they arrive at this country store, this convenience store in the middle of nowhere, wherever the bad guy is. That's where they last saw it, and they all gather around Clover's phone to look at the message that her sister left her a year ago. And then they all look up at the sign to see this is the place where she disappeared. And it's like, who does this? Why is everybody standing 20 feet from their own car, looking over the shoulder of their friend in a video that I'm sure by now already seen?
yeah.
And are they looking at it and just trying to make sure, is this the same place? Yeah, it's the fucking same place. Like, it just totally took me out of the movie. And I'm just like, why? This is so weird. Their car is literally 20 feet away. They walked out of the car, stood in this spot, all looked over her shoulder and watched an entire video. Why? I don't know. It's really needless. And it really just breaks your immersion in the movie when you have a scene that is this unnatural.
Yeah, I liked the movie. I was surprised that I liked it. I did watch it during the time that is usually my nap time because I work so early in the morning.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened to me. I'm not saying it has nothing, does not reflect on the movie because it happened yesterday when I was watching Revenge of the Sith, where I just started to, like lag a little bit and I had to make sure that I was staying awake.
Yeah.
And w- I was pretty much the whole way through, I was pretty much into it. Now it is based on a video game, and
Right.
there are a few times where that is so apparent. It just was giving me like Resident Evil uh vibes when oh, there's a red typewriter. I wonder what that means. Oh, they've got a
Mm-hmm.
CB radio. That's got to be in the movie, or that's got to be from the video game, and stuff like
Right.
that. And I was just like, okay, this is very video game. And then there are
Oh
parts
yeah.
of
Every time they cut to somebody, they've got to look at something on the phone. It's
yeah,
like a cut scene from a video
yeah,
game. Like, oh, you've reached the part where we do this flashback portion here.
yep. But there were, I mean, after a while, I kind of forgot about that because of the fact that the action was shot very well, and it was, you know, the um the script I thought was pretty good for a horror movie for based on a video game. I did like the fact that all the actors seemed to be at least competent, at best very good. Um, I like Adessa Azion a lot. She was in the
Mhm.
Hellraiser remake recently on Hulu. Yeah, just there was a lot to like in it, and I say that as somebody who went in, and as I was getting my popcorn and talking to the guy at the theater, I was like, yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. I really don't. He's like, oh, he goes, yeah, I heard it wasn't bad. I'm like, yeah, I go, it's one of those things where it's not, I'm not a video game person. So it's not something I'm really looking forward to. And then I sat and watched. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a chance because I do like some of the cast. Michael Cimino I follow him on Instagram because he's just so cute. So I'm not going to lie. That was like, oh, he's in this. I had no idea. Well, let's go ahead and give it a chance. Uh, so I was really pleasantly surprised.
Did you catch the sneaky cameo in the movie?
Maybe.
So it was just a photo. You just saw it very briefly. And it wasn't exactly reminiscent unless you played the video game. But it was a picture of Rami Malek. Pops up in the movie as his character from the video game from 2015.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, I missed it too until I just looked it up on Wikipedia.
I was trying to look at the photos to see if if it was like anybody well known or whatever, but I didn't get to see anybody.
Yeah, so that had to be fun for people who are familiar with the video game. I don't know how popular this game was. The last one they made was 10 years ago, so I don't know. Do people go back and play old video games like that anymore?
Oh yeah. I actually have a coworker he's going back to a lot of his old. I think he was playing Resident Evil 1 on his PlayStation 1. That to tell you how like out of video games I am, the last system I had was a PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
So I got that from a roommate who I was holding it hostage until I made sure that he cleaned out the apartment because I was leaving before and he didn't. So I got his PlayStation 1 till I sold it.
I've got the first generation that was able to play Blu-ray, and then I've never upgraded because that's all I use it for is a Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
But it's weird though. I played video games a lot when I was young. The first couple of Nintendo, and if you try and look at those things now, and with your eyes, they're now used to like digital projection. It is headache inducing. These pixels are just, it's insane. Just how different it feels. It feels like your entire brain has been rewired.
That's funny. Yeah, I was never a video game person, so this kind of stuff for me doesn't really hit the way it does for some people. I know there were some people who said, "Oh, it doesn't look like the game, and this is different," or whatever that were bitching about it. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So,
I mean, even if I did play the video game, the movie has to stand on its own. For me, like,
absolutely.
And this stands up well enough, I guess. It's I don't think it's special in any way, and I'm not going to. By next week, I'm not going to remember this. I'm gonna still be thinking about Sinners in a week, in a month, in a year, but I'm not going to. Until Dawn is going to settle in somewhere next to Stay Alive and just kind of disappear into the ether.
Until Dawn is one of those movies that it'll automatically play when it's on Plex in a few years.
Yeah.
And I'll just let it play for a while until I decide what I want to watch instead. So
I was waiting for it to become Cabin in the Woods. I was waiting for it to okay, we're going to have different killers every night. Like, okay, let's see what you can come up with. And then it was the same killers every night. It's just different versions of the same guy.
Yeah, I was kind of like, is it the same guy? And then there were different ones, and that was a little confusing.
When they showed his Hall of Masks that he has, so it's like maybe he's a different guy every night, but he's a different mask every night, I guess. But then there's the girl, and we won't spoil anything about her. So there is a version of the character, the evil characters that is a girl. And there's plenty of them at the end where there's like a whole chase sequence or whatnot. So there's plenty of them, but they're all basically the same design.
Yeah.
Which is again against the promise, I would say. I was kind of excited by this. Like the first one, we get the guy, the clown mask, and it's like, all right, we got we've got like a Jason sort of character here. Then the next one, it was a ghost. And I was like, oh, hey, fucking ghosts. Okay, here we go. Invisible killer. Let's see what happens. But then they went right back to the guy in the masks. And I'm like, oh, never mind then. I'm going to
Yeah.
settle in and just kind of wait for this to be done. I don't hate this movie. I really don't. I just don't care.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's better than it needs to be for a video game adaptation. But it's just, it's not something you'll remember.
No. Unmemorable is a very kind observation in this film.
And we all know how much I love to watch horror movies over and over and over, and this is not one that I will.
No, because there's really no need. Yeah. You saw it, you experienced it, you talked about it. That's pretty much what it needs to be.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our classic, shall we? That's what we got next, right?
Yeah, since we've already talked about it. But Revenge of the Sith.
20 years ago, Revenge of the Sith hit theaters. I can remember being at the very first show. It was around midnight or so, and the cosplayers and some people with people amateurs, just random moviegoers, were just putting on a full lightsaber display right in front of us in the front row for this movie, and it was that classic Star Wars atmosphere. Even as there was already the cynicism kind of dripping in from the previous two movies, that there was, the barking about Hayden Christensen had already kind of begun. And there are people who were kind of down on the idea of this movie at the time, but it was still Star Wars. And there was still that feeling, that midnight movie feeling, where there were still a lot of people in costume and a lot of people who are ready for this thing to see what happens. We want to see Darth Vader in his uniform.
Yep. It was the people who were not too cool to be Star Wars fans.
Yeah. That's such an interesting point. You said something very interesting there, because I was just watching, sorry to tangent you here, but this is how my mind works. I just watched a video today by this YouTube creator named Gavin, and she was talking about her generation and this Minecraft thing that's been going on with people dressing in suits and making a mess at Minecraft, creating an event for themselves. And when does it become an ironic enjoyment versus an actual enjoyment? Like, when do you start to have something like, I hate this, but I love this? When is it genuine?
Yeah.
And that's such an interesting point about people being too cool for Star Wars, because like what she was talking about is the vulnerability and the willingness to like something against, that everybody else tells you shouldn't like. And that is kind of a vulnerable, intimate sort of thing, just to put your name on something and just put a stamp on something and say, I enjoy this, and I don't care what you think of that.
Yeah, look, I'm an easy lay when it comes to Star Wars. Okay, you give me blasters or a lightsaber and a good fun story, I'm there. I liked a lot of Rise of Skywalker, which is, I liked a lot of Attack of the Clones, which seems to be, the consensus seems to be that or Rise of Skywalker are the worst of the series. And Attack of the Clones has some of my absolute favorite shots of the entire saga, and two of the absolute worst scenes committed to celluloid outside of the room. And I am talking about the Anakin Padme dinner and fireplace scenes. I mean, I feel like Tommy Wiseau could have written better dialogue, but that's neither here. I still love it. I will still watch it. I do sometimes, if I'm not watching it streaming, if I'm watching it on Blu-ray, I will skip those scenes. But when it comes to Star Wars is Star Wars. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with re-releases and stuff, and how they outperform almost everything else. This was even better than Return of the Jedi, and I have a feeling that that's because this is, it's the first re-release of one of the prequels that wasn't for a 3D conversion. They did release The Phantom Menace, re-release that as a 3D movie, because they were going to do that before Lucasfilm was sold to Disney. that was what George Lucas was going to do with them. Well, we haven't had a re-release of a prequel other than that in a while. So I have a feeling that, that's where the hype and the nostalgia watching is coming from.
Hmm.
A lot of people that are Star Wars fans today that grew up with those movies on video have never seen them in the theater.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and it's a good movie. It's not, it's not like one of the bad ones. It is the best of the prequels. Um, it definitely has the best of the prequels. It has some of the better acting by
It's the
some,
most comfortable. It's the most
yeah.
comfortable modern Star Wars has been, or at least that trilogy was.
Mhm.
Um, Everybody feels like they're in a place where they're supposed to be. Hayden Christensen again. I don't want to drag him all night. I'm not a hater in that way, but I do think that he was probably the wrong actor for this. I don't think he had the range and depth for it.
Yeah.
And his line readings tend to prove that, where big moments that are supposed to happen don't quite land as hard because he's not delivering a line with I don't want to. I just something about his delivery is just not there for me. And
He doesn't have the intensity
yeah, he's a lot
that is needed.
that you would assume for Darth Vader for this character.
Hmm.
You don't think of somebody who's like Weasley. It's not. It's supposed to be kind of coming from a place of a depth of evil that is also combined with an unearned confidence, and I
Yeah.
don't feel that with him.
I feel that there's a scene towards the end where Padme has followed Anakin to Mustafar, and she says, I can't follow you down this path. You're breaking my heart. And her emotion in that scene actually gets me,
Hmm.
because I mean, it's not great dialogue. None of the Star Wars movies have great dialogue. Um, George Lucas was famously told by Harrison Ford, "You can write this shit down, but you can't say it." And that was the original Star Wars, which everybody holds up as like the paragon of movies. But
Hmm.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan. My collection is out of control, but I am there to be able to. I love it enough to criticize it. It's like family. You love your family, and you want to see them be better, so you can criticize it. Now, that's not. Now, I'm not talking about the internet trolls and all of that. Um, but you can criticize a movie and still love it. And that's how
Hmm.
I feel about Hayden Christensen. I think Hayden Christensen is a great guy, and there are some things he's very well suited for. I
Hmm.
thought he was um, pretty good in Attack of the Clones and the Ahsoka series, where he comes back and plays Anakin during the Clone Wars and dueling with, he's in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. He actually plays Darth Vader in that, in the suit, but he's also plays young Anakin 25 years later, which is kind of
Hmm.
funny, but because they don't really de-age him at all. Um, I he does that, the playful, very well, but that, I will do what I must, and I hate you, as it's no,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
he is a good actor.
fine.
I've seen him be good. There's a movie
Life
called
is a
Shattered
House.
Glass.
Yep, he's
No,
good in that.
no, Life is a House is fucking trash.
He was good
No,
in it. I'm saying that movie
I
sucked,
well,
but he was good in it.
I'm
I saw it.
I loathe that film always, but um, no, Shattered Glass. He played
Yeah.
the a writer who was plagiarizing and got caught, and
Hmm.
uh, and he's phenomenal. He was perfect for the role.
Yeah.
He nailed the energy of it, the anxiety of it, the unearned confidence. Like it was all there. But this was
I
just
remember him being talked
I
about
d-
for an
I
Academy
think
Award nomination for that movie.
yeah, and I think the problem for him was Lucas. I don't think
Oh
Lucas
yeah.
knows how to direct an actor.
No, he absolutely does
He knows
not.
how to frame a shot. He knows how to build special effects into it. He knows how to lead a team
Hmm.
to create something incredible, but he doesn't understand actors or how to
Yeah.
communicate with them. And Hayden Christensen is an actor who needs a director who's going to hold his hand a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah.
Whereas
George
Natalie
Lucas is
Portman,
a yeah.
Natalie Portman, which the thing that bugs me the most about this movie is just how poorly she's treated. She gets
Mhm.
nothing in to do in this movie, and to take her from the character she was in the previous film, uh, to this is just it's almost unforgettable. It's the biggest flaw in this movie, and I like this movie a lot. The
Yeah.
biggest flaw is I know she's pregnant, and she can't she can't do a lot of the stuff, but they don't give her anything to do. She's almost completely duped by both Anakin and the Emperor, and I didn't buy it for a second that she could be taken in, and she wasn't. But I mean, she it takes her a while. It takes her a little too long for me to come around
Two
to what's
yeah,
going on.
two things that would have vastly improved her arc are the deleted scenes. I don't know if you've ever watched any of those.
No.
She's actually one of the people who helps create the rebellion
Hmm.
with Mon Mothma, um, and Bail Organa, and she's in those meetings with them talking about, how do we get the chancellor to back off on all the stuff that he's doing with his emergency powers. And I would have loved, especially with the fact that Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma in
Hmm.
the deleted scenes, especially the fact that she was in Rogue One as Mon Mothma, and she's having an absolute like renaissance as her in the Andor series. Um, she's like my favorite character. And I never thought, oh, I'm going to say Mon Mothma is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. Fuck no. And then she comes in and Andor is like an amazing, amazing series. And she just plays this conflict, and she's got the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. But she does take I haven't watched the new episodes yet, but apparently she does like let loose a little bit. And I wish that they'd had those scenes like put back into the movie for the re-release. There's
Yeah.
very few um, deleted scenes that really make a difference in Star Wars as a whole, but I think that those scenes giving Padme agency as opposed to just being, a knocked up crying wife, I think really would have helped what is already a very good Star Wars movie. But I think that would have helped give her a little bit more to do and a little
Hmm.
more depth in this one, where she's not just, crying all the time and talking about the baby.
Let's talk about the things we love about this movie. So let's get to the action here is spectacular. The fight scenes are amazing. Count Dooku's death is an incredible scene. Getting to see Yoda in action again is just it's more fun each time I see him get to do things. And I know it was kind of at the time it was controversial, to
Yeah,
see him be, so athletic and bounding about, but I loved it. It made me happy every time I saw it, and it feels real to me in that Star Wars way that
yeah.
that he has like he's such a small target. Of course, he's like incredibly hard to kill. Like it makes perfect sense to me, in the
My
logic of that
favorite,
universe.
my favorite battles though have to do with General Grievous because he's such a disturbing character. Like the way he looks and the way he does his scorpion walk.
Hmm.
That duel between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi before the Clone Wars, the Clone Troopers come in, is one of my favorite things about the entire prequels. Is
It's
just
it's
him.
it's spectacular. It's spectacular. I mean, the way that in 2005 he can make that feel so real and so beautiful. It speaks to how truly how incredible George Lucas can be under the right circumstances.
I was also thinking, I that's the scene I walked into the theater to watch today after Until Dawn, and it struck me, and I don't think it's ever really struck me until that moment where the way that Lucas and his team mapped out these worlds and the choreography and the geography of Utapau, for instance, is they in order to make these scenes believable and that wheel bike thing and the big lizard chicken following him, In order to make those feel real, they had to basically create the entire world and the geography of it. And it feels like they definitely took their time and thought about how they were going to make this work based on how this planet is made of sinkholes and how it works. And I felt like I was actually able to follow, like I could have if it was a real location, I could have gone and found out where it was because it was so specific. I love that about these movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look back on Dagobah, for instance, like it's such an incredibly well created world. And everything that Luke goes through there with Yoda
Mhm.
is it's so compelling. Um, you could say that I would say the same thing even about something that is not even wildly technological. Is the forest fight in Return is
Mhm.
some of those scenes are pretty spectacular. The bike chases, the
Yeah.
whatever I don't know what the bikes are called. Uh,
Speeder bikes.
Speeder bikes. That was spectacular. That was one of the great scenes. Like that's one of the best things that Lucas has ever done for me.
Yeah.
Um, and here the lava
Mhm.
fight is just spectacular. Like just classic action movie dueling. It feels like you could pull that out of an Errol Flynn movie and drop it in here.
Mhm.
Like it's just the dynamism of it and the athleticism on display. And again, it's all special effects, blah blah blah. But
Mhm.
it's still spectacular acting going on while he's doing
Yeah.
that. Ewan McGregor is truly like for me and a real like I know everybody looks back at like it can only be Luke and Leia and Han and Darth Vader. That's it. But I'll put Ewan McGregor in there. I will because I think he deserves. I think
Oh,
he's earned it. I think he
absolutely.
belongs there.
He's one of the people that I think is the most beloved in the entire saga. When people talk about Ewan McGregor, when it comes to Star Wars, there's nobody that really, even even the internet haters, there's nobody who does not like him as Obi-Wan Kenobi. To the point where everybody seemed to be pretty excited about the show until it came out, and then it was more Disney, ruined Star Wars, whatever. Um, and I have my issues with some of the shows and things like that, but I really loved seeing him play that role again. And his acting chops are so good that I believed that this is how he would have done it. Um, I just I I also my one of my absolute favorite parts about it um is Ian McDermott as the Chancellor slash Emperor.
Hmm. Emperor Trumpetine.
Yes. Well, now Emperor Bush, really, because that's this came out in 2005, and that's at the height of, George Bush's bumbling presidency. And a lot of the line, "If you're not with me, you're my enemy," is almost a direct lift off of something that Bush said in a speech. So
Uh-huh.
it's very anybody who says Star Wars hasn't been political. It's been political since the very first movie, which was talking about world. It was basically a World War II movie with Nazis and fascists versus the rebels.
Hmm.
Um, but it was very, very spelled out in here with that line, and the fact that re-releasing this movie at the point we're in politically, where up is down and left is right, et
We have
cetera,
a
et cetera.
we have a president
And
who's literally executing Order 66
yeah, yeah. And
on
when
people right now as we speak.
when Palpatine says to Anakin when he sends him to the Jedi Temple to kill everybody, he's like, "Oh, once more the Sith will rule and we'll have peace." Well, that's the same stuff that like Hitler did, peace through extermination. If you exterminate all your enemies, then you're just left with your sycophants who eventually turn into your enemies because you can't stop but doing what you're doing because you've got a taste for it. But he's that's what he's talking about. He's talking about exactly the same thing that's going on today. Exterminating your enemies. That's what's happening in Gaza and here and Hungary, all over the world. And it's such a good allegory that I'm hoping that some of the people who resist thinking about it that way actually wake up a little bit and go, oh, Oh,
I got chills. I got chills watching it because like when Mace Windu is talking about we need to go and tell him he has to give power back to the Senate, I'm like, oh my God, this feels too real. Like this could be happening right now.
I'm like, oh my God, Mace Windu is AOC.
I was casting it in my head, honestly, because
Yeah.
like the Emperor talks a lot like Trump. He does.
Mhm.
I hear it. I know there's people getting angry and screaming at their podcast right now. I don't care. Get over it. He literally calls them stormtroopers, you guys. They're stormtroop. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
I'm saying that um you could hear the way he talks about people like the when he's executing the order and like go out there and kill the Jedis. They're turned against us. We're the Jedis, but like what? The media or
Yeah. Well, the United
Democrats.
States just he just ordered like 176 miles along the southern border. He designated that as a military installation so that he can weaponize the military against citizens or anybody who happens to stumble upon this area that is now a military base. He can say, take them out, whatever. It's some scary shit, and that's why this movie is so relevant. Is because we're at Order 66 right now. Project 2025 is Order 66, but
Essentially. I mean,
um,
I'm with you on that. I mean, they literally deported a child getting cancer treatment. They
yes,
deported a child getting a cancer treatment. You guys, that
that is something Palpatine would do.
that's well, literally he sent them to kill the younglings. That's
Yeah, yeah,
they don't care if they're killing children for God's sakes. Like it is that level. We're at that level right now.
yeah.
And I can't find Mace Windu or Yoda or any of our leaders at this point. I
If it
know
was a
there are a lot of
if it
people
was a
doing good things, but like I honestly I don't feel like I see any actual Jedi anywhere.
Can you see Mace Windu writing a strongly worded letter like Chuck Schumer? I'm going to write Palpatine a strongly worded letter.
I heard that the other day and I just about died.
I'm
I wrote
like,
him a strongly worded letter. Good
look,
fucking
people, there
God.
are no Jedi coming to save us. We got to save ourselves. I mean, there, we have a lot of sycophants in our government, and we don't have any Jedi. And if we did, they'd probably be killed off like the ones that we see on screen.
Seemingly.
So
Bernie Sanders and AOC going to hide on different planets. That's your Yoda and your
taking
Obi-Wan.
JD Vance's children with them. Oh, that was the meme I was gonna mention earlier. My favorite JD Vance meme. It was fuck Mary Kill, and it was a couch, his wife, and the Pope.
Oh, damn.
I was like, oh,
Damn.
that was perfect. But no, there's so many things I like about this movie, and it's Order 66. I thought was heartbreaking and devastating and done so cool. I wish
It
there had
feels so
been
big.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I wish
feels
there
like
had
a
been more of
moment
it.
that it felt like a moment that this is an iconic Star Wars moment.
I also think that when I was talking to a friend of mine at, um, at work about the re-release, and I said that I wish that the Padme and Mon Mothma scenes had been put back in. I also wish that they had taken. There are scenes from the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and some of the other Star Wars shows that show stuff that's happening during Order 66 in the temple. Um, Integrating those into Revenge of the Sith, I thought would have been pretty amazing.
Hmm.
So you see those, but they don't really. If you're just watching it for the first time, those scenes don't pay off until you're watching The Mandalorian, and you're watching Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar, play a Jedi who saves Grogu. You know, his redemption arc, I guess. Not he's not playing Jar Jar in the show, but
Mhm.
you know, the one of the protagonists of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is a child during Order 66. She's one of the younglings, and she gets away. You know, she gets saved. Um, just stuff like
Yeah,
that
no,
I think
yeah.
would have been interesting to
Another
put in.
another red another Revenge of the Sith positive. Very little Jar Jar. Very minimal Jar Jar.
No, no, no. Misa, there's that karaoke day with a frisky money munching and pow. Misa here. I will say this: I sold about I don't remember where I posted it, but I posted my sexy Jar Jar stickers,
Ah,
and I've sold like 6 of them in the last 5 days.
I love you, Jeff. But that is a cursed image. You've created a truly cursed image.
Oh, I know what you're getting for your next birthday.
Framed print.
Oh, t-shirt, you know. If I ever knew I was going to meet Ahmed Best, I would 100% wear that t-shirt to meet him. I did a Jar Jar drawing, a color pencil drawing that is honestly was one of the best things I ever drawn. I mean, technique
Mhm.
wise, and I sold prints of it. I had a really nice scan of it. Somebody actually wanted the original, and so I put it on. I had to put it on eBay because they were in Australia, and
Mhm.
I put it on eBay, and they bought it for $300. They're like, "Oh, I'm a huge Jar Jar fan. It's so hard to get stuff in Australia." I was like, "Okay, well,
Mm.
here you go." Um, and they have since bought sexy Jar Jar stuff from my uh, um
Taking their fandom into an entirely disturbing place.
but they had somebody buy them the Jar Jar shirt from the drawing that they bought
Mhm.
and ship it to Australia because I don't he said the T Public doesn't deliver there or something and wore it to meet Ahmed Best
Oh
who
wow,
told him, "Oh, that's really cool. I've never seen that before." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." So, yeah, I don't mind Jar Jar. I think, you know, a little goes a long way, but I'm not, you know, one of
definitely.
those people who hates everything because he's in it. So,
I just like there are comedy characters throughout Star Wars, but his is just they're supposed to be having these serious scenes, and then there's just this joke right in the middle of it
yeah,
that just doesn't land. Like this, it's especially a problem in the second movie where they're trying to build this important story, and you got a dumbass who's tripping all over himself in the background.
yeah. Well, I think too that the one thing about Jar Jar that just it kind of pissed me off is he's a senator, right?
Yeah.
And they manipulate him into asking for emergency powers for the chancellor. Okay,
Hmm.
I get, you know, he's easily led, but he gets up there and in true Jar Jar fashion, instead of saying fellow delegates, he says Dello Felegates
Yeah.
because he can't. And I'm like, you know what? He's a senator. You can give him a little bit of gravitas at this point. You know, the Jar Jar redemption arc would be great. Um, I also did hear a theory that this was before Revenge of the Sith, but after um, AOTC, that somebody said, "What if Jar Jar was the one who saved the twins and delivered them to Tatooine and Alderaan?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I want that to happen so much now." Just the redemption
I
arc.
mean, and it works. I mean, Jar Jar
Yeah.
with kids makes sense. It
Hmm.
does. He would be the type of guy who would lay down his life for a pair of babies. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just
I do like that.
I there are very few things I dislike as much as I like in Revenge of the Sith. The name, first of all, because originally Return of the Jedi was supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi, and then
Hmm.
at the last possible minute, George Lucas said, after they'd already started to print stuff, posters and action figure cards and stuff, he said, "No, we got to change it because a Jedi doesn't take revenge. That's a thing that a Sith does." And for him to turn around and name this Revenge of the Sith, as soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh, it's like my soul left my body for a second." I think that is just so fucking perfect. as a Star Wars fan from the time I was 5 years old, that's just like perfect.
I loved seeing Darth Vader get put together. I loved him
Hmm.
rising up in the suit, but I there's one more gripe that I got to get through, and that
Yeah.
is no. I fucking hate it. I laugh every time. It breaks my heart to do it because at that point, he's so it's good. It's really good. I know he's heartbroken and everything, but like just that level of emotion from Darth Vader is just not. Oh God, it just breaks me. It just
Yeah.
every time. It just why did you do that?
I
No.
would have rather he had not said it and just broke everything around him.
Yeah.
And for him, like, I would have almost shit my pants if he had just put the force choke on the Emperor for a second. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
the Emperor doesn't
Yeah.
know what he's getting into because, and all of a sudden he gets force choked. And then, Vader just like, even if he just
Which
like fell down and like was, you
yeah.
know, fell down on his knees and didn't say anything, was just completely silent except for the breathing. And then, Palpatine drops and you get that look where he's going, "Oh shit, what did I do?" That I think that would have been much, much better.
Absolutely. Like give him a moment like that where he can kind of almost show you a part of himself that's still potentially good. Because like
Hmm.
what the whole point that Padme makes is that there's still good in him, Obi-Wan. And
Yeah,
it's like that good is her and his love for her. That's the still and if he'd acted out in that fashion as opposed to no,
yeah.
it would have
You
made a lot
know,
more sense. It would have been more impactful, I think, to tell the emperor that I've not quite broken him completely just yet, but I'm
mhm.
close.
Yeah, yeah. For the Emperor to see that little glimpse of good in him would explain a lot of the expanded universe stuff.
Mhm.
Um, like later on, some of the stuff that he does that's a little sketchy as far as being totally evil. So yeah, I love this movie. It's one of those movies I say I've seen it a million times, but it's been on when this came out on VHS. It was always on in the background for like a year.
Mm.
Um, and I think that it will continue to be, even though I do tend to have the Last Jedi on
Mhm.
quite a bit more lately. Um, I love the movie. I love almost everything about it. A few little nitpicks here or there you know don't dampen my love for it. I did notice this time because it was on the big screen. Uh, when they're putting Anakin together,
Mhm.
he's still wearing his burned clothes. I was like, that's not very sanitary, you guys. And
Well,
I,
they were
and
melted into his skin, man. Come
well,
on.
yeah, I know a couple people who have pretty severe burn. That is not how it works. Um, it does also bother me quite a bit that Padme dies of a broken heart, that she loses the will
Yeah,
to
that
live.
was a bit trite. That was a bit trite.
Not excusing the fact that Leia says in Return of the Jedi, she died when I was very young. I remember images of her very young, as like minutes old.
Right.
Now I know that Leia has the Force, and that can be, she would have connected with she could have connected with Padme in utero. And in that moment, she could have
Well,
gotten.
now, but when, who is she referring to though? Because like, when did her? I mean, did she grow up with both adopted parents
Well,
or
yeah.
just a father?
As far as Star Wars lore goes, Bria Organa, who is the Bail Organa's wife at the end, who he takes Leia to, she is also in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I think played by a different
Okay.
actor, but um,
When does she know? When does Leia know that she was not their child?
Oh, I think she knows the whole, that she knows in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and she's supposed to be about 10 years old there.
Oh, okay.
But she, I think she's known all of her entire life that she's adopted because both of her parents are Hispanic. Um, there, might be a little bit of disconnect. Um, but as far as I know, Bria, uh, Organa died on Alderaan when the Empire
Yeah.
blew it up. So it's not like and when I was very young does not mean 10 years old when you're 21 having this
Yeah.
conversation. Um,
By the way, yeah,
so,
quick. I know it's a minor thing. Well, you do want to wrap up here, but I do really like Jimmy Smits. I think he does a terrific job in this movie. He doesn't have a lot to do, but he's a perfect utility player. He
yeah,
fills in exactly where you need him to be. It's one of the best written roles, and he embodies the character incredibly well.
agreed. Agreed. Originally, they cast somebody else. He was going to be in the Phantom Menace. The character was, and it was, you know, it looked like Victor Garber. I don't know if that was actually him, but there was a picture of Bail Organa in one of the guidebooks or something, and it was a guy who looked very much like Victor Garber, and they cut him out of the script before they released it or anything, um, and then brought him in for Attack of the Clones. And I thought he's exactly Bail Organa to me. I can't think of anybody else that I would rather see. Um, he's just got a really good presence in all the
Yeah,
Star Wars stuff he's done since.
yeah, he really impresses me, and a lot of people write him off as just a TV guy, but this, in the right role, I think
Mhm.
he's an actor with just tremendous, tremendous charisma that even, even a guy like Lucas who doesn't deal well with actors, he's not going to screw up Jimmy Smits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many good things about this that the little nitpicky stuff comes from seeing it so many times and just being like, well, what about this? Um, so
I'll honestly never love this the way I love, the first two movies. Like it'll never be that for me, but
mhm,
it's always up there in terms of movies that I do love. Um, because I do love this movie. I do have a great time, and I do feel 20 years younger when I watch it. I feel like I'm in 2005 watching it happen
yeah,
again and having that same, rising and falling in my chest, that same urgent excitement as that John Williams theme plays. That
mhm.
music is it's so much a part of who I am as a person.
Yeah,
I
same.
never really, I don't really realize it until I hear it, and then when I hear it, I'm a child again. I'm immediately a child.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just nothing quite like a John Williams score, especially a Star Wars score. Um, just the fact that it's so iconic that when he said that, Rise of Skywalker was going to be the last movie he was going to score, but that they would still be able to use the main theme for the big movies. I was just like,
Mm.
oh, good, good.
Yeah, it's the greatest score of all time. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think any other score can transport you the way that this one does.
And so when during the re-releases, they re-released the uh, scores on some really nice discs that I still have to this day. And there was, a lot of talk about the scores from them and uh, how Williams would use themes for everybody.
Mhm.
And he did it through everyone. Everybody has their theme from Leia to Rey. Poe. Everybody has their theme, but some of those, if you're listening to the soundtrack or the score to A New Hope, is so evocative that you can actually see. You close your eyes and you listen to the score, and you can see what's happening on screen
Yeah.
just based on the music.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. And even here, in this movie, where they're using, and they probably did in the original trilogy. I don't remember exactly, but those little flute touches where he takes the main theme and just takes it down to a simple flute, and
uh-huh.
it's just to it makes you perk up your ears and sit up in your seat just a little bit, to what's about to happen or what's about to be said, and it's just such a subtle little thing, but that he that he and Lucas and everybody thought to put that there. Just this little hint, just this little flute bit of the score. It is such a smart little detail.
Yeah. Yeah, there's literally nothing I would ever be able to criticize him for when it comes to scoring these movies.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Well, Bob's ears are bleeding, so we're
yeah.
gonna.
Bob's like, do I have to listen to this shit?
He's much more reasonable about this. I swear. Like,
Yeah, he
we
is.
make him out to be. We make him out to be the Star Wars monster. He's not.
He's the Star
All
Wars.
right. Well, yeah, Rise of it's still out in theaters if you want to catch it. You can still
Yeah.
catch it. Obviously, they're taking advantage of May 4th to have a Star Wars movie in theaters, which is good business. Maybe more studios want to think about doing stuff like this. Just hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we have. There are multiple, I guess, releases that are coming, but there's only one major release that's actually going to be in theaters, and that is the Thunderbolts with Florence Pugh. So, to give the show a bit of a structure, we'll talk about Thunderbolts and we'll talk about Florence Pugh. We'll take a look at movies that aren't Midsummer.
Yes, we get to pick our favorites, and
then we'll talk about Midsummer.
Yeah, we can talk about Midsummer after that. But yeah, Sean said, why don't we do our favorite Florence Pugh? And I'm like, we're all gonna say Midsummer, and so let's do it without. Let's leave that aside. We can talk about that after. But yeah,
and she has a vast array of movies to pick from, and I think I've liked just about everything she's ever done.
Yeah, I have my favorite, and I've got one I haven't seen that I'm going to try to get to, before I say that this one is my favorite. So
I am going to be writing about the A Simple Favor sequel. We can talk about it if you ever decide to see it. It's going to be on Amazon Thursday.
Oh, let's talk about that too, because I love that first one. I didn't know it was coming to Amazon. Huh.
Yeah, Thursday it'll be on Amazon streaming. They're skipping theaters with that one for some reason.
That's too bad, because
I don't know.
Great. I love the first
I don't know the thought process. I don't understand how Amazon works with their releases. There's some things that just don't make any sense. Like, we'll put this one on streaming, and but we got good marks on the account, and so let's skip. We'll put that one out in theaters and then put it on Amazon.
Considering how well, critically and box office wise, the first one did, that just really surprises me.
I do wonder though if the testing that they did based around the recent Blake Lively stuff, maybe they're like, this might not do well.
I don't listen.
This
to
might not do well.
So
yeah, it's divisive, and she's a lightning rod figure at the moment. So I guess from that perspective, I can see what they're going for. I still think the first movie was such a hit that people might be more forgiving and still go to the theater. But you're also facing off against Thunderbolts, and Thunderbolts might be big this weekend. It's hard to say at this point.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it'll be big. I think it'll do well. I don't know how well. I mean, people were calling Sinners a failure at $60 million last weekend.
Fuck those people.
Yeah. Who knows? If Thunderbolts goes in at 98 million, is it a failure or is it a success? I don't know. That really shouldn't be a conversation. It really should not be a conversation whether or not a movie makes, triple figures in its open weekend or 90 plus million on its open weekend, I know these movies cost a lot, and there's a certain entertainment value in talking about how much they cost, because some of them aren't worth what they're printed on, but it's not entirely fair, that conversation.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to talk about them, so I'll watch that one too for sure.
I would like to recommend that people look for a movie called Vulcan Isadora. It's a weird title, but it is going to be on streaming soon, and I do have a review of that up now. It's a weird little independent film, and could use all the attention that people can give it. That'll be out, I believe, this weekend in some theaters, and soon, either this weekend or soon after, on video on demand. So check it out. It's called Vulcan Isadora, and that title will tell you absolutely nothing about what this movie is about, which I love. but the title is perfectly apt, which you'll know after you see the movie.
Okay.
All right. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Have a good one.